Hello, everybody. The DUI guy is back. Let's see if I can adjust this. This seems a little askew. All right. Let's see if we can get this thing comfortable here. Maybe set it down. Trying to find a spot for this. Here we go. All right, how's everybody doing today? What a crazy world we're in, huh? I tried to stream from my computer, but unfortunately, I don't know, my camera hasn't been cooperating with me, so I had to use my cell phone. I have it sitting on top of my laptop here. The camera can't be accessed because it's being used by another application. I don't know what that means. I'm not using it for anything else. But I hope you guys can hear me okay. Hey, Supreme. Hey, Daniel. Let's see. All right. Let's wait until some people join us here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. How's everybody doing today? How's everybody feeling in this this crazy environment we're all living in right now? Hey, Dog Mom. Hey, Transport King. I hope you're wrong about that, Roy W. Because, well, what I think happened is I was testing my camera since I don't have any of my equipment. All of my equipment is at the office, and I don't dare venture outside the office right now. I mean, outside the house right now to go to the office. So my light, my good camera, everything, my microphone, everything is over there at the office. So I was testing the computer camera using the built-in software, whatever it is. And I don't know, I think it just logged down, and it didn't allow me to connect to YouTube. And I even restarted my computer. This is why I'm a little bit late. I'm usually very punctual. And what time is it right now? Oh, crap. 6:37, yeah, I was like 3-4 minutes late, which is very unlike me. I'm usually right on time with these things when I schedule them. But anywho, yeah, Roy, we will be definitely talking about that. And my sound is good, yeah, because I have my headphones because I want to have good sound. And these are good headphones, and my phone has a much better camera than my computer, so I guess maybe it's a better idea to use this for live streams in the meantime anyway. Might not be a bad idea. F. Lotog, how much do I know about civil litigation? I know a little bit. It depends on what area, and you're saying constitutional law. I know enough, depending on what you're looking for. I can probably advise if it's in Kentucky. If it's outside of Kentucky, I'm pointless to talk to. Thank you, Supreme. Oh, hey, Pikes. By the way, Pikes, we still need to discuss our future podcast that we've been planning. I don't have, we were originally going to do it on like some Sunday, and I thought we are going to do it tomorrow, but tomorrow does not work for me. So unfortunately, we're going to have to pick a day and reschedule. And plus, I don't want to do it back to back, especially now with the quarantine. New content is going to be a dime a dozen because I think everyone is watching YouTube. I also have at least maybe 3 or 4 videos in the pipelines that I'm going to be sharing, maybe one a week or something like that, to ride this out. Because believe me, as much as I would love to just dump it all so you all have something to watch and enjoy, I also have to consider my ratings and all that stuff. Not ratings, but you know what I'm talking about, my numbers. Transport King, these are the Google Pixel headphones. It's the ones with the, it's not an auxiliary port, it's the one with the USB-C port. I don't know if I think I have another pair here somewhere. I can show you my old ones, the ones that broke. It's this port right here, because the Google Pixel doesn't have a auxiliary port, much like the new iPhone. So this puppy right here, and they're actually really nice. The sound is very clear, and I'm glad that the microphone on it is it's very good. Glad to hear it, Daniel. Welcome from West Virginia. Welcome from Kentucky. Hey, Loyal Justice. So how's everybody doing? How's everybody's individual or collective quarantine? How are you all handling the isolation? We're about to go into week 3, aren't we? If we're not there already. Hello, Pick Unit. Yeah. So anyway, I guess might as well get started. We got enough people here. Doing a lot of hiking. Nice. I know a lot of people are outside right now. And, you know, I was not against it. But now I've just seen some videos from nurses and doctors over in New York talking about how they're talking about their personal experiences as to what's happening with the coronavirus. As you all know, New York has been hit the hardest. About nearly half, or just about half, of the coronavirus cases are in New York, and how their hospitals are just getting bombarded. I mean, it's pretty insane. And yeah, the courts are shut down. They shut down on the 13th, I believe, was the last day of court, the 13th of March. So we've been closed for just over 2 weeks. And the Kentucky Supreme Court has ordered that the courts are to remain closed until April 10th originally, and then they extended that duration to April 24th on Thursday. So now we got an extra 2 weeks of courts being closed. It's crazy. I mean, it's unprecedented for courts to be closed. I mean, I remember when we had snowstorms, you know, crazy snowstorms, and everything was closed. Schools were closed and businesses were closed. Courts open. Too bad, so sad. If you can't show up, we won't give you a bench warrant. We'll just continue your court date. But they were open. But for courts to be shut down for more than like a 24-hour period is unprecedented, not just in my practice. I think, well, for this length of time, I think the last time they were closed for this long probably could have been the Spanish flu in 1918. Who knows? And our governor, I was actually really pleasantly surprised. Governor Andy Bashir, he made national news across the country. The biggest hurdle, I'm glad you asked that, Tammy Doob. The biggest hurdle to the court system right now is if you're in custody, because if you're out of custody, they just pass your case, no problem. They have been releasing people from jail. The lesser in crimes, obviously not the violent crimes. But hello, Jesse. But the problem is if you're in custody, I mean, prosecutors don't care. Prosecutors will continue the case indefinitely. It's the defense attorneys who are having the hard time because we want to release, hey, the Liberty Cause. We want to release our clients from custody, and we want to have those hearings are mandatory. They must be held. The Supreme Court has also extended some custody hearings, some probate court, juvenile hearings are also to be held. I think this morning, actually, today's the 28th, right? 28th, yeah. One of our judges held in custody arraignments and in custody hearings. Anybody who wanted a motion for bond reduction, motion to release. I mean, anybody who's in jail right now, the private defense attorneys and public defense attorneys were able to congregate today and this morning in district court and get their motions heard. So that was really nice. That was really something that we absolutely desperately needed. And our judges are coming through as quickly as they can. Circuit court hearings, I also believe, are being held on March 30th, which is Monday. Yeah, I think so. I don't have any new circuit court cases right now, or any old circuit court cases where my clients are currently in custody, except I have one in April. Because the majority, as you all know, I do are DUIs, and they usually are released within less than 24-hour period from their arrest. And DUIs are plummeting. I mean, naturally, no one is going out. Restaurants are closed, bars are closed. No one's going out. No one's drinking. The few and far in between, the calls that I am getting, I'm obviously trying to hold on to as much as I can. I'm expanding my practice, trying to advertise a little bit more on the criminal side. A lot of disorderly conduct, domestic violence. I'm guessing assaults also are going to be on the rise. Maybe trespassing, things like that right now are probably going to be like 98% of offenses. Police officers have been told here in Kentucky not to stop anybody for speeding. They do not address any type of minor traffic offenses. They do not stop anybody for minor traffic offenses. So I'm not telling you to speed without any ramifications. But I think if there was ever a time, this is it. So, yeah, I think that this is going to be stories for generations to come. I mean, this is right now is a time where this is nothing that our generation has ever seen before, let alone our parents' generation, even our grandparents' generation has ever seen before. So this is new for absolutely everybody. And the majority of people who could tell us about it, what is it? When was the last time we had an epidemic? Spanish flu, again, 1918. So if you're 102, you were just born at that time, and you probably don't remember since you were just a baby. So we don't have a single living soul that we can consult on as to what had happened and how things were done. And besides, even if they did, I mean, think about it. Those were different times. I think a lot of people back then, why so many people died, by the way, and I think why this is going to blow over a whole lot better is we have the ability to communicate mass information. We have mass media, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have all these platforms that didn't exist 100 years ago. You know, back then you had newspapers, and even then, I mean, 100 years ago, it may take 3 days, 4 days for the newspaper to arrive. And by then it may be too late. The pandemic, the epidemic may already be spreading, and it's too late. And I think that's what happened. What was it a third of the world's population perished or something like that? I forget what the numbers are, but they're crazy. Back then, obviously, population was also smaller. But besides the point, the ability to shut down everything before it gets too crazy is, I think, what's saving the most lives right now. But yes, it does give a platform for mass hysteria and misinformation as well. But luckily, most have been kind of curtailing it. If you've noticed, I mean, it could have been a disaster. You could have had all these media outlets going crazy, but I think they're smart enough not to do that, because then nobody else will ever take them seriously for as long as they exist. It's an exaggeration, of course, but yeah. Oh, yeah. Jonathan Kampala. I believe if you look at the statistics, there is every 100 years is when an epidemic occurs. So there's like an epidemic in 18 something, 17 something, 16 something. So this is pretty much in line with what we all expected. We just, you never think about it like, hey, the epidemic is going to be tomorrow. Let's see what happens. So yeah, 108-year-old who was alive during the Spanish flu. You saw an interview, Liberty Cause. She didn't remember much. Yeah, she is 108. I think it was Nostradamus, not Quasimodo, Jamie. All right. Thank you all for joining. Again, don't forget to like this video, comment below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hey, Wayne, I have a few more videos. I released one a couple days ago. As you can see, I'm digging into my pile. I have a few that I'm going to be releasing over the course of the next few weeks. It's literally, it's like the ring in Lord of the Rings, and you guys are Gollum, just waiting for the precious to be released, and I'm the one holding on to it. So don't worry. I promise not to leave you hanging. You will get to see all the content I have in store, I just have to release it piecemeal, because right now I think new content is the weight of gold. It really is, because everyone is watching YouTube, everyone's watching Netflix and TV. I talked to my TV people who are running my commercials, and they said the ratings are astronomical. I mean, astronomical right now, unprecedented, nothing that they've ever seen. So it's really nice. It's good for them. They're making a lot of money right now. There's some businesses that are going to go bankrupt, and there's some businesses that are blooming as a result of all of this. So let's see. There you go. See, Jonathan Kampala. That's exactly what it is. So let's dive into the topic for today, which is, should I hire a lawyer or should I represent myself? And of course, you already know what a lawyer is going to say. Of course, you should hire an attorney to represent you on your case. But why? So approximately, I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 years ago, I don't know the exact date, but I feel that, and I didn't read this is just an assumption as to how our profession was really created. and how it blossomed into what it is today. The work of an attorney, at the end of the day, is really not that complicated. It is, at the end of the day, it is really, really simple. But it has evolved into something very, very complex and carries way too many nuances, intricacies, and just little things here and there that have made the profession impossible to perform without going to law school. So if you recall, maybe from your civics class, you know that Abraham Lincoln was a lawyer. And some of you may know that, and I believe this is true, I don't think Abe Lincoln ever went to law school. But even if he did, let's say he did, I honestly don't remember the facts. But at that time, law school was not mandatory. I'm like 99.9% sure that's accurate. As long as you sat for the bar and passed the bar, you could practice law. So long as you completed an apprenticeship before, thank you, Liberty Cause, I knew I was right. He didn't go to law school. He just sat for the bar and passed the bar. He was a smart guy. He studied for it himself. So and people like him at that time, law was still, it was still complex, no question about it. But there was not as many laws, and there was not much really to read into, to understand, and the language was still complex, so you had to have an education, that much was obvious. But the language was not so complicated, and a lot of people were able to enter the legal profession, but there was really not that much of a need, and very few people even sat for the bar in those days. Now, with evolution and more people joining this planet, I don't know, can somebody real quick do a Google search? How many people did we have on this earth in 1860? All right, we'll come back to that in a second. 1860, what was the population of Earth? So there weren't as many people, and you didn't need as many lawyers. You didn't have as many, as much need for the profession, and a lot of people represented themselves, and maybe successfully so. But the problem is, the more law has evolved, the more it has been required for somebody who's competent in that particular arena of law. 31 million. No way. Somebody confirm that. In 1860, were there 31 million people on this planet? I find that hard to believe, but who knows? I know it's not 4 million, Tommy. Stop trolling. Law has become much more complicated. Law has become much more intricate. We have created an entire dictionary, Black's Law Dictionary, that has been expanding exponentially since, America. Okay, so 31 million people in America. Compared to, we have what, 95% more now? We have 360 million. So obviously not as many people, not as much need for lawyers, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. So law has become something more that requires somebody who not only has the experience, the knowledge, and the practice, but someone who is well-versed on the nomenclature, the terminology, the process, the procedure, that the requirements had simply mandated for every lawyer in modern-day America and other countries to go to law school. And in law school, they don't teach you the law. I mean, it would be insane. It would be insane. I think law school would be 45,000 years long if you had to sit and learn every single law from every single... sorry, my phone is getting warm. I just want to make sure I don't lose you guys. it would be impossible to learn every single law from every single area of law, etc. You learn how to think like a lawyer. That's what law school is for. How to take facts when you're given facts, because what are facts? Client comes into your office and says, hey, I got a problem. This is my problem. You take those facts, then you research the law, you find out what the law is if you don't already know what the law is, if you're not an expert. And then you simply give an answer. This is what I think should be done, and I can help you, and this is how much my fee is going to be. And yes, of course, they teach us how to research case law, because that is part of what being a lawyer is, but it's only a fraction, about 2 to 3% of our law school time. No, I shouldn't say that. Maybe 5%. Maybe 5% of our... Oh, I thank you, Daniel Mitchell. I appreciate that. Thanks for the $5, man. I'm going to have a smoothie for tomorrow. Only about 5% is really how we learn how to research the law. So the rest of it is we're learning, we dig into cases in different areas of the law, whichever class it is, constitutional law, criminal procedure, etc. And we just learn how to think like a lawyer. Literally, that's all it is. That's all that law school is. And then you go through the rigorous process of sitting for the bar exam, which is a marathon. And if you successfully pass this marathon, then you're awarded something called a law license. Now, not everybody who goes through law school even wants to become a lawyer, so they don't sit for the bar. They just take their JD, their Juris Doctorate, and they walk away, and they use that knowledge, the ability to research the law for other purposes. Maybe becoming running for Senate, would be something that you could consider, or becoming an ambassador, or working at the UN. I mean, there's so many different things you can do without ever becoming an attorney and ever practicing actual law. Now, obviously, you probably won't get paid as much, or maybe you will, depending on how talented you are and how connected you are, or how you can apply your skills, and if somebody notices. And yeah, you need your bar card. The only reason to have a bar card is to practice law in a courtroom. So if you're not intent on practicing law, and I remember I had one classmate of mine that I can remember off the top of my head. His name's Brian. And Brian went to law school, and Brian graduated, and he never sat for the bar. He never wanted to sit for the bar. He came to law school to learn the process, and then he went back home to his home state, and he's now a journalist. He was a journalist before. He just got the law school education, probably to get a raise, to get the knowledge base, etc. And now he's a journalist. So at the end of the day, law school doesn't really do all that much other than teach you how to think like a lawyer. Now, I know a couple of individuals personally who have gone through law school and have barely shown up for class. They just studied on their own because they're brilliant. They have brilliant minds, not like myself. I was showing up every single day because I'm not that talented. And I remember, as long as you pass your exams, there is no attendance policy in most law schools. And their ability to pass the exams and successfully complete law school was not connected to them being present in the classroom. So they didn't need it. So the ability to be successful in law school is not necessarily a measure of your ability to argue case law or your ability as a lawyer. I mean, I'm sure you've all heard the old adage. If you haven't, I'll tell you right now. A students make professors, B students make judges, and C students make millionaire lawyers. I was not a C student myself, so I guess my future is a judge, as I was a B student. But I never strove to be an A student personally. It was too much labor and too much work, which I did not find necessary, or because since I wasn't trying to land in those top 2% of firms or whatever. So that wasn't my goal. Now, finally, let's come back to your ability to represent yourself in court. The problem is, thanks for catching me, Loyal. The problem is a lot of people feel that if they represent themselves, they're going to be able to present the best defense because they're emotionally tied to their case. And nobody can present their case better than they can because they know their case better than anybody else, which is 100% true. And the problem of finding someone who is just as invested and just as interested in getting your case dismissed or amended or not guilty as you are is extremely difficult. So a lot of people may think, look, I'm just going to go represent myself and we'll see what's what. But the problem is you don't know, you can study for your case ad infinitum. And I encourage you to do that if you have the time for it, if you have the energy, if you... Thank you, Scannyland. What is going on? What is this all coming from? Thank you for the $5, Scannyland. I appreciate it. This one's for a coffee. Thanks. I have a coffee and a smoothie tomorrow now. Got a generous bunch of folks. I agree, Jamie. So your ability to represent yourself, although you have the emotional, mental, and time investment into your own case, you may know the law, you may know as much, well, you may know all the intricacies of your particular case. But what you may or may not know is procedural, what's the word I'm looking for? Barriers, procedural barriers, other nuances that you're unfamiliar with, other intricacies in that courtroom that you may be unfamiliar with. There are just so many. The court system is designed to trip you up. It is designed to screw you over. It is designed to make you feel incompetent, and it is designed to make you feel like you have absolutely no idea what you're doing. And Michelle, you're right. If you're pro se, the rules for procedure may be a little bit more relaxed for you, but they will not be forgiven for you. You will get some leeway, but don't forget, if everybody would be given full latitude, nobody would hire attorneys. Everybody would simply try and represent themselves, and then the judges would be the ones bearing all the weight of, okay, all right, here we go. Here's another pro se that I have to explain all the law to and give. They're not going to do that. This is what lawyers are for. We're the crutch that you walk into court with and say, hey, I have this case, and here is my attorney who is here to speak on my behalf. Because if you read any motion that I file, it's not... comes now Larry Forman representing John Smith. It's always reversed. Comes now John Smith by and with counsel. Because I'm writing the motion as if I am John Smith, who is the client. It is written by the attorney, it is signed by the attorney, but it is written as if John Smith wrote the motion themselves. That is because that is who we represent, and that is in whose interest the action is being made. So for you to go to court and try to represent yourself, it may work for some cases, absolutely. If it's a traffic offense, something minor, something that doesn't carry a suspension, and 99.9% of people in those circumstances really do go to court and represent themselves. Now, the problems arise, of course, when the offense is more serious, when the offense is carries a license suspension, maybe a misdemeanor. If it goes on your record, you may have a more difficult time in finding a job. Obviously, a felony goes without saying. So it may not be the best decision at all times to study the law and say, look, I think I'm good. I'm going to be able to represent myself and go to court and try and take care of it yourself. Now, obviously, if you don't have the funds for it, that's a different problem. And you are without hope. You're without possibility of hiring an attorney, and you have to go into court and represent yourself. So that is completely understandable. But if you have the means, speaking as an attorney, of course, I am biased. But if I, God forbid, knock on wood, ever get in trouble for anything, I know the best course of action is to hire an independent attorney. You've heard the old joke, an attorney who represents themselves as a fool for a client. Well, I'm no different, because once emotional investment is inserted into the equation of representation, you always run the risk of an inability to provide competent counsel to yourself. So it is, I think, vital for people to hire attorneys when they can. And there is always going to be that 1% who will study their case, study the law, and try and represent themselves. And more power to you. Maybe you'll be able to find a law student who will consult you for free. And maybe in these times, some lawyers who are out of work would give you some free advice to help and guide you through this process as they have some time on their hands. But just keep in mind, emotion. Don't forget that once you insert emotion into the equation, you are risking a lot. You are putting yourself in harm's way, in my opinion. So, should you represent yourself pro se, or should you hire a lawyer? I'm always on the side of hiring a lawyer if you can afford it, and if the case is more than just mild, like a traffic offense. Especially, and Daniel Mitchell brings up family law. I don't do family law. But in family law, imagine, I've heard so many stories, oh my God, so many stories, of one side hiring counsel, the other side not hiring counsel. And can you guess which side got the better deal? Got the longer end of the stick? Obviously the one with the lawyer, because the one with the lawyer just signed their documents. They don't know how to make their voice heard. That's what we are. That's what lawyers are. We're nothing more than your voice. Everything else is yours. We just speak for you. We write motions for you. So that's my 2 cents on the topic. I want to open up the floor to some questions. So let's see if I missed any. VB All Out, by all means, feel free to call me, 502-931-6788. My phone number is all over the internet. Just Google the DUI guy in Kentucky. You'll be able to find it. And absolutely, the Liberty Cause. If you're charged with a felony, I mean, you're risking prison time. There's absolutely no reason to represent yourself If you're a convicted felon, you lose rights to have a gun, rights to vote. I mean, the ability to find a job is pretty much out the window. Oh, by the way, don't forget to like this video if you haven't already, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. And hit that notification bell so you get notified when I'm going to be posting new videos over the next few weeks. Will a judge allow you to defend yourself in a felony trial? Not unless you waive your right to a public defender. So Michelle, great question. In misdemeanor and felony cases, if you cannot afford an attorney, obviously one will be appointed for you. You can always ask to have that counsel waived. Now you will be scolded by the judge and reminded about 500 times. There's a law, I forget what it's called. There's a case law on this. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you doing this intelligently, voluntarily? Are you sure you want to represent yourself? And this must be reminded to every single litigant who wants to go pro se in a misdemeanor or felony case and do it themselves. Eventually, if you're really adamant, I'm going to do it myself, I'm going to do it myself, I'm going to do it myself, eventually the judge will cave in and give you that opportunity, but you're risking, in Kentucky, a simple Class D felony, you lose, you're going away for a year, minimum. And if they give you the max, you're going away for 5. Some states on a lowest class felony, it's 3 years. Other states it's 7. Some states the minimum is 10. It's just not worth it at all. How will the coronavirus affect the statute of limitations if the courts are closed? Great question, Free Nature Interviews. As a matter of fact, it doesn't affect them at all, as far as I can tell. The statute of limitations are still running. If you have been, law offices, by the way, the governor of Kentucky, I don't know about other states, the governor of Kentucky stated that law offices are essential and they don't have to close under the order of all businesses closing, much like grocery stores, doctor's offices, etc. So it does not toll statute of limitations. If you have a deadline to file something, if you have most commonly, car accidents, stuff like that, which have a year statute of limitations in Kentucky, 2 years on some of them. It's a year on medical malpractice here in Kentucky. I mean, you need to file because nothing is stopping you from electronically filing the case as the attorney. You may have to go to court on some of them, but nothing tolls as far as I can tell. The coronavirus does not toll the clock. There's going to be a lot of litigation on this, I'm sure. Can a defendant hurt his or her case by expressing their frustration to the prosecuting attorney, Judge Michael Tyler? Absolutely. Always keep your mouth shut. They're not your friends. Do not give them any facts. They will only use them against you. And thanks, B. I appreciate that. What is my opinion on public defenders? They're great. They're overburdened. We need more of them. We need a better system in place. Pikes asks, if I have a solid case and know the law is on my side, should I file any motions? Well, it all depends. That's one of the broadest questions you can possibly ask. Do I believe that policing for profit has slowed down? Absolutely. It has slowed down to a crawl. Like I said, they're not doing any investigatory stops, no speeding, no traffic violations as far as I can see of almost any kind. Lawyers hire lawyers all the time, William, that's right. What are the legal pitfalls of representing yourself? Asks William. I know these, but your viewers need to know why this is a bad idea. This has pretty much been the topic of this entire episode. You are going to say things you're not supposed to say. You're going to incriminate yourself without even realizing it. You're going to misstate the law. You're going to misquote procedure. It's just a disaster waiting to happen. And especially if you're in front of a jury, you're trying to convince these people, but you got to know how to do it. It's an art. It's not everybody's born with it. Some people may be able to do a fantastic job. Others may not be so good at it. A great example just came to mind, by the way. Have you all seen the movie Blow with Johnny Depp, where he is being charged with like multiple counts of trafficking in cocaine? I don't remember if it's the marijuana still or is it the cocaine one, but he's in court and he stands in front of the judge and he goes, it ain't me, babe. It ain't me. Like he quotes the song. And it's hilarious from the side, but he was sincere about it. He thought, hey, come on, I'm a cool cat. You don't need to lock me up, Your Honor. Everything is going to be cool. Just let me off and everything's going to be good. And what did he get? Prison time. That's where he learned about cocaine. So I guess it was the marijuana trafficking, I think. But yeah. So don't represent yourself. Puppy is great, dog mom. How ironic that dog mom would ask, how is your puppy doing? No, puppy is great. She, I was going to bring her in here, but she's sleeping. So I just kind of left her alone. Bill Hodges asks, in my DUI case where a CDL driver tipped over due to a soft shoulder, why did I not introduce his driver's log into evidence? Completely off topic, but might as well answer. It's one of my cases. I didn't see a need for it. I didn't need that to win the case. Hello, Dave from Vancouver. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Corpus Delicti, yes, the government has to prove the Corpus Delicti before they can even venture into any case, but the Corpus Delicti on a DUI case is very simple. Operation and drinking. That's all they need for the Corpus Delicti to be substantiated. Do I know anyone who has successfully represented themselves, Scannyland? No. Actually, wait a second. Yes, I do. Me, but it was a civil case. And I sued, there was this tow truck that towed my car, damaged my rear axle, and I filed suit in Indiana. I was a law student. It was my first case. And I argued the case. I can't remember if he showed up or not. Yeah, he did. He did show up. He showed up in court. And I argued it to the judge as a pro se litigant in a civil case. And I successfully represented myself and I won the case. I got the judgment. It was $177 or something like that, dollars plus court costs. And the guy didn't pay for like a year and a half. So it was just interest accruing on it. I didn't care. It was a judgment. So I had no rush to collect my money. And one day I just got a check in the mail with the amount plus interest. So it was kind of nice. That's kind of cool. So civil cases are a little different. I mean, you can try represent yourself. It's like, especially if it's a small claims court, obviously. Somebody broke your computer and they owe you $57, by all means. Even if it's like $1,000, by all means, if it's a civil case. Yeah, you need to talk to Liberty Cause. A lot of people, he knows a lot of people, and he's helped a lot of people. We've talked about this. He's helped a lot of people represent themselves in Florida. I mean, by God, the stories that this man has, it's quite interesting. I watch a lot of lawyers on MSM. I don't know what MSM is, but okay, we'll go with it. Wildbull777 says that I know are so wrong about basic law. Surprise, surprise. How can a regular person know whether or not they have hired an How can a regular person know whether or not they have hired an idiot? Do your research. Mainstream media. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Mainstream media. Whether or not, do your research. I mean, look this person up. If they have 3 reviews and like 2.5 stars, they're probably a bad person to hire. If they have 100 reviews and 3 stars, they're probably a bad person to hire. If they have no reviews, that's a huge risk. If they have a lot of reviews and they're like at least above a 4.2 maybe, that's like my, I guess, threshold, just arbitrarily pulling out of a hat, then they're probably a safer bet to hire it is. I mean, if they have 100 reviews and a 4.9, obviously, you know, this person is legit, that sort of thing. Northern Ireland. Wow. Hello, William Smith. Michael Fitzsimmons. This is the second time you're asking me the same question, looking for free legal advice. A neighbor said a 22 round can off my property to the house. What's my defense? I don't know. You should hire a good lawyer. Good for you, Pike. That's pretty cool. Getting your own cases dismissed, I'm sure, is a hoot. I've never had the luxury of doing it to my own self, but even when you do it to somebody else, it still feels good. The good ones will always be happy when they do a good job. Again, don't forget to like, comment below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever new videos pop up and when I go live. And Jennifer, I wouldn't say spending a few days in the courthouse is unnecessary. Maybe 20 years ago, that would have been a good bet to go to the courthouse to see who is good and who is not. But nowadays, I think an internet search is sufficient. Because a lot of good lawyers don't go to court. They have associates going for them. All right, so I'm about ready to wrap this up. Let's see if there was any other questions from you all. So speak now or forever hold your peace. Pulled over, don't speak, don't consent to the test, but should we refuse to sign any paperwork? Absolutely, Loyal. Don't sign anything because you don't know what's written on it. Sometimes they'll shove it to you. They won't even read it to you. They'll tell you, hey, sign, and you don't even know what you're signing. How would a prosecutor prove any obligation by the defendant to follow the laws? Politician's opinion, asks Anonymous 123456. How would a prosecutor prove any obligation by the defendant to follow the laws? Well, if the law is constitutional, there's nothing that needs to be proven. Yeah, B, I had to take down a couple of recent lives just because I think I was rambling a little too much on things I didn't want to make public. So this one should probably stay on my channel and probably will stay on my channel. I just have to be careful not to give too much of my strategy away sometimes. I'm just very proud of my work. That's my problem, and I'm speaking to you guys, and sometimes I forget that there may be a prosecutor or two lurking in the shadows. So, no, Fitzsimmons, I don't give free advice. Sounds like you have an actual case, and if it's not in Kentucky, I can't give you legal advice. Constitutional attorney, where at, eyes? Is your state amendment right suspended during a state of emergency, Pikes? Great question. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that yet. If we go into a martial law, then definitely. But until then, I don't think it is. There's a lot of prosecutors who work past 9 to 5, Jamie, the good ones. I've gotten emails, and they know who they are. I've gotten emails from some of them on Sundays at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's definitely not unheard of. They're few and far in between, but they exist. Well, anyway, I think we come to the end of yet another wonderful, fun session of the DUI guy, lawyer talk with the TDG, as I've seen some people are referring to me, the DUI guy abbreviated. Anywho, thank you all for joining once again. Please don't forget to like this video, comment below, subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate all of you joining me in this crazy, crazy time. The next show, thank you all, cops. The next show is going to be next Saturday, same time, same place, your living room. 6:30. Let's see, what is the what date is that going to be? April 4th. Oh, 4/4/2020. What a beautiful date. 4/4/2020. I will see you all at 6:30 p.m. Until then, please be safe, take care of each other, stay away from each other, literally. Quarantine, 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 please. It's crazy out there right now. This virus is no joke. We are just at the beginning of it all. This is just getting started. I'm in Kentucky, R. Martin. Just please be careful. Sometimes people don't show symptoms for 10, 14 days while they're spreading this virus around. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I know the Liberty Cause. I know. I'm guilty of that myself. In the beginning, I wasn't a believer. Now I am. So stay safe out there. Take care of each other. And I will see you next Saturday, April 4th at 6:30. All right. Bye-bye, y'all.